Hello family, welcome back to the channel.
Before we get into the video, could you please do us a favor? Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Tell your friends to come and watch us.
Hey guys, our topic is about emotional abuse, and we feel like it's one of the root problems of the three major issues in South Africa or in the world. So the three major issues is sexual abuse, physical abuse, and then the last one is emotional abuse. And emotional abuse is something that people don't consider. And she's going to tell you what emotional abuse actually means and what it is.
Okay, so I want to read it for you so that I don't come up with my own opinions on what it is, because yes, the rest of the video is going to be opinion based. Emotional abuse is an attempt to control, in just the same way as physical abuse, control over another person, that is, and the only difference is that the emotional abuser does not use physical things like hitting, kicking, and all of that. Rather, the perpetrator of the emotional abuser uses emotion as his or her weapon of choice. So we decided that we should tackle this topic that a lot of people do not talk about, because yes, in South Africa we talk about physical abuse and sexual abuse a lot, but emotional abuse is not talked about. And as we mentioned, it's the root cause of physical. So from emotional abuse stems physical abuse and sexual abuse. So we're gonna first talk about how do you recognize emotional abuse, because like yes, you can recognize physical abuse and
sexual abuse,
exactly.
But like, how do you recognize emotional abuse? How do you recognize emotional abuse? The abuser will be criticizing how you walk, how you talk, what you dress like, and who your friends are, and also they're going to be shaming you, belittling you, and they're going to be making snide comments or trying to control your mind in little comments that they say or do, and then they're going to affect you. And in the nowadays, we are so influenced by Instagram.
Truth.
That maybe your partner or the person who's actually emotionally abusing you, we can't just say partners because it could be your friends also. Yes. So your partner or your friend might just log on Instagram and then they're just like, oh, you would look good in this, you would look good on that. Those comments, you have to have like a small stomach,
value them.
Yeah. So if someone is pressurizing you to look like an Instagram Barbie, then that is some form of emotional abuse.
So it's not just from a significant other, it could be from your friend, your family members, and a lot of the times, which is what we're going to talk about next, which is the victims and the abusers, what they go through, like the deeper things behind them being a victim or how they become an abuser. And for abusers, a lot of the time it's people who have low self-esteem themselves, and the only way to feel better is if they lower someone else, so they themselves are already in a dark space and they just basically bringing down everyone with them.
They're trying to like say, come along for the ride. And sometimes the abusers actually are quite hypocritical, because they're hypocrites. They say something, they say don't do this, and then they do the exact opposite of that. So it's like, but like you said that I mustn't wear this and you wearing it, so it's like double standards.
True.
And for the victim, you feel your self-esteem is shattered, your self-confidence is non-existent, and you just basically you try to build walls of like low self-esteem, and you don't talk to people, and you don't have the support system. Isolate yourself, and you don't have a support system, and it messes up your mind. And sometimes people actually end up committing suicide out of this. And people also like even commit other crimes because they're trying to validate that one thing that their partner or their friends are continuously belittling or saying that this is wrong about you, or this is how you can fix this and that. So they're always second guessing everything that they say or how they act.
And most of the time the victims come from, it's the same people who are bullied in primary school or high school are the same people that become victims later on in life in terms of relationships, that is romantic relationships and friendships. They're the same people, same person. That's the same person that you find in primary school in a relationship that is that there's an emotional abuser, the perpetrator is abusing this person. So it's a person who didn't grow up confident in a way, and they basically easy targets for perpetrators or emotional abusers. If we should title them as such. But what we basically try to say to South Africa is that can we just please be aware of emotional abuse, because we believe that it is the core reason behind sexual abuse and physical abuse. So we need to tackle the real reason, which is emotional abuse, and we need to be able to, number one, identify it as, and number two, how do we make sure that we remove ourselves from such situations? Because the thing with emotional abuse is that it's so subtle. You don't even notice that you're already being pulled into this pool of self-doubt and a wave of emotions. This person just starts little by little, and then they start little by little, and then eventually it's this big thing, and you're trying to just end your life. And if as South Africa we're trying to actually understand the problem that's going on of like physical abuse and sexual, we need to understand what emotional abuse is, as Lufundo was saying, and we're trying to solve that problem in South Africa. We need to first solve emotional abuse before we start solving physical and sexual abuse, because that's where it stems off, because people don't understand it. And another thing is that it's very important that abusers are not frowned upon, because they themselves have problems while probably growing up. The same story as the victim, it's either they were a victim and they decided to turn to abusers, but there's some sort of problem that they're also dealing with as abusers. Hence why they're trying to feel better through putting down other people. They're trying to feel better by having control over other people, because they can't control their own emotion, their own lives, their own self-esteem, So it mustn't be a thing of let's focus on the victims and forget about the abusers, because they too need the focus. They too need the help. Basically.
So guys, and it was quite a somber mood, and somber video, very, and it might be very informative for other people, because it's a real problem that we need to address. And a lot of people in South Africa have been emotionally abused, and sometimes they might not even realize they're being emotionally abused. And people always ask themselves, why am I so not confident? Why do I lack self-esteem? You need to understand the people that you're around and how they treat you, and they might be emotionally abusing you, and you just need to find the root of the problem to why you're feeling the way you're feeling.
And one of the biggest reasons why we wanted to talk about this, it's one of those topics that in the Black community we don't really tackle. So we tried to open that freedom in terms of let's communicate, let's talk about this, So that's
the combos are always communicating.
That's mainly the reason why we're doing this, is just to be in the families, be free about talking about such things.
And the Black families actually,
they need to talk about it. Maybe your own siblings are going through the most,
or maybe your own siblings might be the ones who are doing this emotional abuse.
The abusers.
They are the abusers, because they don't realize what they're doing, and it's something that's a problem. And if you talk about it as a family, then you're going to have ways and steps to actually prevent it from happening ever again. So guys, check us.
The conclusion, guys, love yourself, and make sure that in the process of loving yourself, don't put other people down.
True.
Thank you so much, guys, for watching our video.
Thank you, guys, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.
We'll see you in the next video.
We're trying
to bring the energy.